Hi again. Hello, hello. Good Friday to everyone. Everyone having a nice Friday, getting prepared for the weekend and to enjoy the weekend. It's raining here this weekend. It looks like we're getting into fall here, so we start getting a little wet and a little gray around here. But that's okay. You put on your nice cozy sweaters and stuff, so it's nice. I'm coming again in my series on boundaries. This probably is going to be a really long series, but a really good one and stuff. And so I'm just encouraging you all to kind of be patient, stay with me. Have a lot of good things to say about boundaries. And today we're going to be talking about the what what you have some control over regarding your boundaries. And then what are the some of the issues that people have with boundaries? What are who are these folks who have issues with boundaries and stuff? And what do they do? What do they act like? And and stuff. And so we'll be talking a little bit about that too. So and I'm going to be going again from my book Boundaries. There we go, by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. I hope you bought the book and I hope you've been reading it. So, some of this stuff you'll probably already know, but you can certainly ask questions, have discussions about, what you've learned and stuff regarding boundaries and, what lessons that you've learned regarding boundaries. And I'm so happy to be able to talk to people about this book and about what they may be learning about their own boundaries. And, some things that or enlightening to them regarding their boundaries. And like I said, today we're going to talk about what is within your boundaries and who are the boundaryless people, who are people without boundaries and stuff. So there are lots of things that you can control within yourself. You're not, when I talked about before, what's you and what's not you. But then boundaries, there are things that are you. There are things that are you're responsible for and things that you have control over. But then, of course, there are things that you don't. And so right now I'm going to be talking about what you do have control over and what you need to be sure to keep control over and stuff that you're responsible for, and that means that you're responsible for you, but you're not responsible for it for other people, okay? And stuff, just because you're responsible for it for you doesn't mean you're responsible for it for other people. The thing about what's within your boundaries is it's within your boundaries, and other people have it within their own boundaries also. So you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel unsure about these things. These are things that people can certainly do for themselves. One of the things is, and we're going to talk about one of the things that they talked about, and they told a little story in this book, and I thought it was a really interesting story. I know if you're a person that's gone to church before, you've heard the story of the Good Samaritan. And it's a story that's told many times, Bible studies, Sunday school, during church. I've heard the story a million times. But it's a good story about what's within your boundaries and what's not. And so the story goes that a man is on the side of the road. He's hurt. People are passing by. They're ignoring him. And the Samaritan comes along and he helps the man. He gets him up. He takes him into town. He leaves him with the innkeeper. He gives the innkeeper some money and he tells him to look after the man and he's going to return and reimburse him for any extra expense he has and stuff. And then the Samaritan goes on his way. But the story in the book states that look at it another way. There's something else that if this may have happened, say the person, the hurt man, is looking at the Samaritan and he goes, well, I just can't believe you're leaving me here. You're leaving me. I'm hurt. I need your help. Why would you leave me here? And and the Samaritan is thinking, well, I guess he must be right. Maybe that's correct. I mean, I'm supposed to be helping him and stuff, so maybe I should stay and I should help him. You start to feel guilt. Maybe I should stay and I should help him, and the hurt man is like, it's just not right. You just can't leave me. I'm hurt and stuff. And the Samaritan knows he has business to take care of and things to do, But he feels so much guilt regarding the hurt person that he's helping, thinking that that would be the right thing to do, is to stay there with him and help him. So he stays. Say later on, he gets a letter from the folks he was supposed to do business with, and they're like, "Hey, Samaritan, we had some camels here for you, but we couldn't wait, and we sold them to somebody else, and we won't be back here until, two weeks later to sell some camels again. Sorry." And so the Samaritan is now mad at the hurt man, thinking, "Man, I stayed here with you, and I've hurt my business, and I can't get money from my family, and I'm really in a desperate place right now from staying here and helping you when you really didn't need to stay." The Samaritan didn't need to stay. He'd asked the innkeeper to do any extras, and he'd reimburse him, but he stayed out of guilt. And that's the thing about what may be within and without your boundaries. What is within your boundaries? He'd helped. He left him with the innkeeper. He told the innkeeper, "Take care of him. I'll be back. I'll reimburse you any money and stuff." And he had things that he had to do, just like you have things you have to do. But so and so is just, I need some help with these kids, and I need somebody to babysit them on Saturday. I've got this thing to go to, and I just didn't, I mean, can't you help me? And you're thinking, well, on Saturday I've got some business to take care of, but oh, well, it's just, can't you rearrange what you've got to do? I mean, I need your help. Now I know this may not be a story that some of you have heard, but it may be a story a lot of you have heard. I've heard that story too. Well, people are ill prepared and they don't do what they're supposed to do, and you end up taking on their knapsack to the detriment of yourself and not taking care of business for yourself. And it may end up where you are hurt in the end because you didn't take care of business you should have taken care of someone else's business, because they're not responsible for themselves. They're not responsible for their own knapsack and stuff, and they've got you acting like they've got you and telling you as if it's such a big burden because they're ill prepared. Listen, I've had this happen to me. I've had people do this, and stuff. And it's kind of annoying. It's just like this is happening. You knew it was going to happen. You knew you needed to do this. Why didn't you make better arrangements? And stuff. And you feel guilty. You do it. You're resenting them. You're mad because you can't do what you were supposed to be doing. Taking time off, trying to help them, and you end up in an even worse spot. And well, they're fine. They've got somebody babysitting their kid probably for free. And stuff. So this is what you need to know. There are things that you're supposed to be doing. And if you're, like I said, sidetracked by everyone's whining and everyone's else irresponsibility and ill preparation and all the other stuff people do, you will not get done the things you're supposed to do. So you end up in a bad situation yourself and resenting and angry at them because you decided to say yes to something that you should have said no to. So these things you're in control of in your boundaries. You're in control of your own feelings. We all are. No one else is in control of your feelings. You are. As much as we want to act like, well, so and so said this and made me feel, really, only I am in control of my feelings. And if you know that, it can give you some power. Feelings should neither be ignored or placed in charge, okay? They get kind of a bad rap. But feelings are something that we're supposed to have. We're supposed to have feelings. People always say, oh, especially for Christians, oh, ignore your feelings. No, no, no. You're actually supposed to have emotions and feelings. Jesus had feelings. He felt compassion for people. You're supposed to have feelings too. But you're not supposed to let them rule you, okay? And stuff. So those are things that you're in control of, your feelings. You're in control of your own behavior. You can't say because somebody did this, it made me do this. I'm in control of my own behavior. And although sometimes I may not behave very well, I can't blame it on other people. I have to get to the source of why I behave the way that I did. And the thing is, if I don't do the right behaviors, I face consequences of it. Now we have to remember, when you do something, you get something in return. It's sowing and reaping. That's it's old as time, you know. And the thing is, if I do something good, I reap something good. If I do something bad, I usually reap something bad. But the thing is, if you as a person decide to get in the middle of people's reaping part, get in the middle of people's consequences when they do stuff bad, and I know a lot of people do it. We do it with partners and spouses. We do it with kids. We do it with parents. We do it with all kinds. We do it with people at work. We do it with all kinds of people. When you get in the middle of people's consequences, okay? Because remember, irresponsible people only understand consequences. They don't understand wisdom. Wisdom don't do them no good. They don't understand any wisdom. They're unwise people. That's why they're irresponsible. So when you get in the middle of their consequences, you have rendered them powerless. Which, to tell you the truth, when you hear that, I'd feel worse, thinking, oh my God, I've rendered someone powerless by getting in the middle of their consequences. I've rendered them powerless. Because at that point, they have to face no consequences. They don't know that they have the power to change those things and do something better. They don't know anything. All they know is that somebody's going to come and rescue them every time they get in trouble. So they don't even understand. So if you do that, and say you do that with a child forever and ever and ever, now you have a grown child that you've been getting in between consequences for forever. They're irresponsible. You're still taking care of them. And the thing about parents, I always kind of think is, one day you're going to pass away. You won't be here. So what's going to happen to this child, this adult child, who has had somebody rescue him forever, and then the parent is gone, and there's nobody to rescue him? There's no way how are they going to survive? The thing about facing consequences is that you get to learn something, and you get something out of that. Now, it's not always easy to face consequences. That's not something any of us really want to do. But the thing is, when I faced consequences for bad decisions that I made, the thing is, I then knew, okay, well, what do I do about this? And then, at the time, it's like, okay, I need to do something about this. What do I do about this? I had to figure out what to do. I did it, or I figured out the next time, okay, I don't want to face those consequences, so I need to make a better choice. And I did that. And then I got a better choice, and I felt empowered. It's a wonderful thing to be empowered. It's the best thing in the world is to be empowered. That is awesome, to feel empowered. The power to know that, what? I don't have to live like this. This is not just, life is not just happening. That I can actually do something about some of these things. I can make better choices. I can make better decisions. I can have a better life. It's really nice. It's the best thing in the world. And although you may have gone through some harsh consequences to figure that out, you figured it out. And so to step in and save people from their consequences means you render them powerless. Remember that. You are in charge of your own values. What we value and what we love, we assign importance to. And sometimes we don't take responsibility for those things that we value. We're caught up in valuing people rather than we are in getting our approval, and really from God is our approval, and stuff. We've got misplaced values, so we miss out on life. We think that, things that are of no value are of a lot of value. Power, riches, pleasure, all those things are really going for us because we desire to be loved, which is a real value. But we do other things to replace that since we can't get that, and stuff. And so you need to make sure that your values are in order. to be able to set some boundaries. Because if you're looking for the approval of people all the time, you will have no boundaries. None whatsoever. If I'm looking for, my friends to love me, I'll let them do anything to me, because to me that means, well, I'll get their love if I just let them, use me and abuse me and stuff like that. You're not really, it's not how you're actually thinking, but you're thinking, well, if I just go along with them, then I'll get them to approve of me. And really, all your approval should be coming from God, not from people, and stuff. And so I'm pretty much out of trying to get people to approve of what it is I do and who I am, and stuff. It's not anything I worry about or lose sleep about. Lots of people don't particularly approve of me, don't like who I am or what I represent, but that's okay. I'm a person that's like, if too many people liked me, I would be nervous, because that would mean I don't really stand for anything. That, I want to stand for something. I want to have some values, and stuff. And so those are things that you're in charge of. They're part of your boundaries. You're in charge of your limits on what you let people do and don't do to you. And, and we can't kind of let limits out of the door. There's a limit. Everybody should have a limit of what they'll take from people and situations. There should be some point where it's like, okay, that's enough. No, we can't go any further. We can't do all of that. And we have to set limits to get our boundaries. We have to set a limit, And I mean, a limit means when you start, when people are talking and somebody's talking about you or saying something to you, and there's just this point where you feel funny, weird, odd, just like you, and you know what your limit is, it. But most of the time we don't say anything. We just kind of let stuff go on and on. You know your limit. You know where it is, where you're like, okay, I think this is enough, and stuff. When you're getting angry and mad regarding something, and really hurt, really is what's happening. You're in pain. That's your limit. But most of us don't even exercise any limits when it comes to things. We just kind of let things go on and on and on and on. And it's not okay. You can set your limits. That's how you set boundaries, and stuff. When I do stuff, with people or for people, it shouldn't leave me with nothing. It shouldn't leave me with just dry. It shouldn't leave me totally empty. And stuff. And that's to me is the difference between being forced and wanting to do something, really wanting to give. Because yes, we're supposed to give. We're not supposed to be selfish, but me giving as a cheerful giver should never have me feeling dry, empty, angry, resentful. Never. It should always leave me with something good, a good feeling afterwards. If I'm giving out of obligation, if I'm giving because I want you to approve of me, if I'm giving because I'm fearing that you'll be mad at me, really, that's not even given. That's not even, I don't even know what, that's not even given. You might as well not even give that, and stuff. You might as well keep that to yourself. Because I'd rather have people give to me because they want to, not because they have to, And you could tell, usually you could tell when people are giving out of obligation. I'm like, you please keep that. I don't want that, and stuff. That's not going to help you, not going to bless you, not going to bless me, so I don't want it. So your limits are part of things that you have control over. Your talent, which means all the stuff that you can do, all the things that you can bring forth. What are you using talent for? Those are things that you can set boundaries on, or within your boundaries, am I using all the good things I have for nothing or for other people? Am I not using those things? Really, my talent is supposed to be going to help, help serve people. But if I'm not serving people, really? That's, I got to think about how I'm using my stuff, because my life is supposed to be a life of service. I'm trying my best to live a life of service. Am I doing this to just get something back? Am I doing this, because I want people to praise me and think I'm so wonderful? You really got to think about that. That's stuff you really have to think about. Your thoughts are within your boundaries. And you have to own your thoughts, okay? And you have to think about your thinking process. I've said this before. Think about what you're thinking. And that's sort of something we don't. We just kind of let our minds just wander here, there, and everywhere. We're thinking about all kinds of stuff. A lot of stuff, just straight crazy stuff, and stuff. And we really have to watch our thought process, because what you think is who you are. It's what you're bringing to your life, and stuff. And so when we're thinking about, things, we just have to be careful about what we're thinking about. We just, I can't, and it takes some discipline to do. I'm not saying this is something that you could just do tomorrow and it'll be it takes discipline to do it. And it's still something even I myself, I struggle with, because yeah, we're thinking about all sorts of stuff. There's TV, there's internet, there's blogs, there's all kinds of stuff that's taking our attention, and that's kind of really ruling our thoughts. When really we should be thinking, we should be really watching our thoughts. We must grow in knowledge and expand our minds, and grow in areas and that you need to grow in your own spiritual life. If you need to grow in those areas. Those things help bring you some peace and some serenity, and they clear your mind, and they clear you of some cluttered thoughts and some things that you are not really sure about. And stuff. So that's a good thing to do. You must clarify any distorted thinking. So if you're thinking stuff that's just not stuff you're supposed to be thinking, and stuff, and with your own kind of thoughts, there are just things that are just kind of, depressed thinking, and, thinking thoughts of hurting other people, hurting yourself, being mad, angry thoughts and things like that. All that stuff, or thinking wrong things about yourself, that you're not worthy, or, that people don't love you and stuff. That's all distorted thinking. That's all distorted thinking. And you need to do whatever it is. If that means going to therapy, you need to do that, and stuff, because your thoughts are something that you're responsible for. You can't put that on other people. You're responsible for that. Also, any desires that you might have, that may be blocking your boundaries. If your desire to be worshiped and praised and have power and control over people, you need to watch those, because they're part of you, not having correct boundaries, because boundaryless people are at fault too. They have stuff that they're doing because they want to control people, and so they don't have boundaries in hopes of doing that. So boundaryless people, we're not letting you off the hook too. And when we talk about, who boundaryless people are, we'll talk about that. Your love. You've got control of that all day long. You've got control of that all day, every day. Your love. Who you love. What you love. How you express your love. What you need from love. As human beings, we want relationships. We are made for relationships. That's what God makes us for. And I'm not talking about marriage. I'm talking about human connection. We're made for that. And so we all desire to be loved. But many of us don't know how. We don't know what to do. We haven't been taught. Or we've been taught, well, you love people, but you love them on condition. So, or you love people when they do stuff for you. Or, you love people when, you love people, when they perform the way you want them to perform. And so these are things that you, as a person, have control when it comes to your boundaries. Who gets your love, you have control over. Now, I certainly love everyone in the whole world, okay? I love people with the love of God. But love does not mean that I let people step on me. Love does not mean that I let people use and abuse me. That's not love. Love does not mean I let people manipulate me. That's not love. Love does not mean I let people control me. That's not love. And so those are boundaries I have with people that I know, even people that I love, because of the understanding I have from God and the way God loves me, in the hope that I love people the way God loves me. You know, although he loves me, he doesn't just let me do anything. He doesn't say that just anything is okay. So because God has boundaries, I have boundaries too. He wants you to have boundaries. That's a good thing. You know, it shows how you should be treated with some human dignity. It's important. So, so think about what's within your boundaries, what it is that you've been doing regarding your boundaries, letting people in too much with your boundaries, having no boundaries at all regarding some of these things. This is for you to think about and for you to do something about. Because you can. You've got the power to change these things. You've got the power to be different. So I want you to take that power. Start thinking about these things, figuring out what it is. Well, what is it that I need to be doing? I'm letting my desires get in the way of some of my boundaries. I'm letting my thoughts get in the way of some of my boundaries. I'm letting some of these things get in the way of me having boundaries with people. Excuse me. So it's important for you to know that. This week, well, since we had kind of a long vlog, this week I won't be talking about, when people have issues with boundaries and who these people are. We'll be talking about that next week. We'll be talking about the people who have issues with boundaries or have none at all. And we'll be talking about them in more detail and stuff. But for this week, this is it. What is within my boundaries? What do I have control over when it comes to my boundaries? And it's important for you to know that. And it's important for you to think about those things to make sure that what's within your control when it comes to your boundaries, what's within your boundaries, you're doing the right thing with those things. Okay, well, we'll talk to you all next week. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.